Hey everybody, so at this point you have done a ton of research about your topic and you are almost ready to write that thesis statement. But before we do, we need to kind of pull all of our ideas together and get a feel for actually what we think about this topic that we have immersed ourselves in. So we're going to engage in what we call a free write. Free writing is a pre-writing exercise that helps you to get all of the ideas that are swirling around in your brain onto paper so that you can sort of make sense of them. Sometimes that is a real challenge, right? There's this disconnect between what we think and what we feel and then words on the actual page. So this is a really great low stakes way to get some of those ideas out into writing so that we have a feel for what we're actually thinking. So what I want you to do is take out a blank piece of paper, and at the top of that paper, you're going to write your topic that you've identified for your persuasive speech. I then want you to set a timer for 10 minutes. During that 10 minutes, you are simply going to write. There is no pressure to worry about perfect wording or correct spelling. You do not even need to worry about if this is coming out in complete sentences, right? It is all about getting the ideas onto paper. Now, what fact are you writing about? Well, it can be anything as long as it is pertaining to your topic. So if you find yourself getting stuck during this 10 minutes, feel free to use any of these prompting questions to help you get started again. Prompting questions might include, why did you select this topic? What do you know about this issue? Who does it seem to affect? How do you feel about this topic or issue? And what experiences do you have with this topic or issue? Again, we're looking for 10 solid minutes of writing. Go ahead, pause the video, complete your free write, and then press play again. All right, so ideally you have just completed your free write. Now what we need to do is make sense of all of this jumbled mess on the page. Now again, it's not all going to be perfect and completely coherent, but likely there's some valuable information here on the page. So what you're going to do is you are going to grab a highlighter or a colored pen, something with a little flash of color to it, and you're going to reread your free write to yourself, and you're going to circle or highlight any ideas that could be used to form your argument. So it could be anything about what you believe about your topic. It could be any part of your free write that touches upon reasons why you believe it, or anything that you happen to know that might prove or support why you believe or think what you think. It also may be valuable if you have any information in your free write that touches upon what other people believe or feel about your topic. Again, go ahead and pause your video now, reread through that free write, and start sifting out some of the valuable pieces of information. All right, so now that we have identified some usable stuff, now let's start funneling even a little bit further. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our prior knowledge and we're going to use some of the ideas that we were able to capture in our free write in order to step into what is essentially going to become a map of our speech. Now, this is by no means our speech in its final form. This is just our plan for what we want to say and how we're going to develop that belief. Now, some people may call this an outline. That is absolutely fine. If you want to think about it as a map or as an outline, we're going to use these interchangeably, but we are going to start to formalize our thesis statement, 2 to 3 claims or main points, and if it's relevant to your particular topic, a counterclaim and rebuttal. So let's first talk about what makes for a great thesis, because I am sure you've heard by every other English teacher on earth that this is by far one of the most important sentences in your entire piece of writing, and that is certainly true. Now, when it comes to argumentative writing specifically, we need to ensure that our thesis statement or sentence is debatable. That's what makes this a persuasive piece of writing. So that means that it's something that someone could disagree with, right? Reasonably. They could have a different opinion on. So let's take a look at a non-example and then an example of a debatable thesis. So something that would be considered non-debatable is pollution is bad for the environment, right? That's sort of like a done deal. Jury's back on that one. We've ruled this is more of a fact, right? Nobody's going to disagree with you. Not going to make for a great thesis statement. But if we are really passionate about speaking about protecting the environment or reducing pollution, all we have to do is tweak that sentence a little bit in order to make it something that is indeed debatable in some way. So here would be a possible option. We could say, in order to reduce the environmental impact of man-made contaminants, America's anti-pollution efforts should focus on privately owned cars. I want you to reread that to yourself and think, okay, so why is this one debatable, whereas the first one is not? Well, the reason that this is debatable is because there are a lot of potential solutions. This particular thesis is addressing the fact that pollution is indeed bad for the environment, but where we should be focusing our efforts is in reducing the emissions of privately owned cars. Well, that's one idea for how to go about this. This is one potential solution. Therefore, it is debatable because someone might suggest that there's a lot of other, maybe even perhaps better ways to go about reducing pollution. So again, a lot of times this is really just a matter of tweaking the language a little bit here or there. So what I'm going to provide you with are 4 different types of thesis statements, including 4 different models. Now, each of these thesis statements are indeed debatable. And so you're going to sort of get a sense of which one you feel best aligns to your particular topic, and then you're going to use that model as inspiration to write your own thesis. All right, so thesis statement number 1, this is a claim of fact or definition, right? We're taking something that is believed to be one way, and we are going to actually argue that it is something else, right? So for example, while some pundits have framed a 4-year college education as something necessary for adult success, this notion should not be treated as a given. Now you can tell from the language of that thesis statement that this speech is going to be about proving that a 4-year college education is absolutely not the only pathway to adult success. Obviously, there are multiple perspectives on that, making it debatable. Definitely a great option out there. Our second option is claims of cause and effect, essentially saying that this one thing exists because of another thing. Might come out looking like this. Federal student loan policies have contributed to widespread growth in college tuition. So this is going to be a speech that is proving that the increase in the price of college is directly a result of all of these federal student loan policies. Now again, there may be multiple causes to this particular effect, but this speech is going to be all about federal student loan policies. All right, now our third thesis statement is a claim about value. For example, the student debt crisis is one of the most serious problems facing the country today. Well, as we all know, there's a lot of serious problems facing our country, but this thesis statement model takes the position that their topic is incredibly important and therefore worthy of their attention. They're then going to spend their speech proving to you why it is such a serious issue and why they should care about it. All right, now last but not least, option number 4, these are claims about solutions or policies. So very similar to cause and effect, this is going to argue for or against a certain solution to a particular problem. For example, rather than encouraging all students to attend 4-year colleges, we should instead emphasize the validity of 2-year colleges, technical schools, and trade schools as well. I really like the way that kind of lays out the structure of that particular argument. So you can see this is going to be a speech all about proving that this is the best solution to that problem. All right, now with these 4 thesis statements in mind, I want you to pause our little video and I want you to begin drafting the thesis statement for your speech. Again, remember, you're not flying solo. You're going to look to one of these 4 models as inspiration, and then you're going to adjust the language to be suitable to your topic. All right, so now that you have your thesis statement, and remember, sometimes you have to go through a few different drafts of that. I oftentimes will rewrite my thesis statement several times until I get it just the way I want it. Then we want to actually start thinking about, okay, how am I going to make this argument? Now, in the remaining spots of your little graphic organizer, you want to start thinking about how you are going to develop and support the opinion that you've just stated. You want to think about what reasons serve to support why you believe what you believe. Or maybe you want to think more in terms of the points that you want to make to illustrate the significance or the relevance of your issue or topic. Now, it's also important to ask yourself, is a counterclaim appropriate to my particular topic and my particular argument? Many times it is, particularly if you have a topic that is very controversial, particularly in sort of a pro-con sort of sense. So if you find that a counterclaim is relevant and it's going to really strengthen the argument you want to make, then you want to go ahead and brainstorm one of those as well. Now, the very last step here is to take this map, and it may be in various degrees of completion, and then you want to use this to sort of make a shopping list of sorts. You want to think to yourself, what do I still need? What specific pieces of my argument are missing, or what specific evidence do I need to prove these points? Go ahead and make that list for yourself, and then if you need to revisit the research process, you're now doing so in a much more specific and focused way.